Good night. Welcome to the Budget Committee meeting on March 30, 2023. This is our reorganizational meeting, our organizational meeting for the fiscal year 2024. We have the members that were elected during the election on March 14th here with us. So with that said, Carrie, can you please do a roll call?
Of course. Sabrina Alberg,
Here.
Christia Clare, Catherine Consalvo, Sierra Dulce. Here. Julie Hammond,
Here.
Liz Costa,
Here.
Michael Mascola,
Here.
Sue Sherman,
Here.
Karen White. Here. Mark Sherwood.
Here.
Mrs. Chairman, do you want to lead us in the?
Absolutely.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we have, well, Sabrina is our only new member. So Carrie printed the handbook for you. We have 3 RSA chapters that apply to budget in school districts. They're chapter 32, 33, and 195. They are all here. Explain if you have at any point any questions. If you want to go through anything, please do not hesitate to contact our office, and we'll be happy to explain or go through anything that you, or and that goes for all of you, as you know. I have no problem you reaching out, and I will walk with you or walk you through whatever questions you have.
Excuse me, Maria.
Mm-hmm.
Were there any significant changes?
Not to any of the chapters, no. Not to neither of any of those 3 chapters. We also have the bylaws. So there was a change in the bylaws by you guys last year. So the change was. So I don't, Sabrina, so the bylaws is how the budget committee is regulated, and what are the regulations of how the budget committee functions and operates throughout the year. So last year on number 2, the regular budget committee meetings, it was changed. The budget committee shall meet as needed. It used to say the exact times and months, but the budget committee feel the need to modify just so they have the flexibility to meet whenever they feel they need to meet, which.
Yeah, we left in the rest of that paragraph, Sabrina, about the, that we meet January the 2nd meeting of the month, and Thursday, the budget committee shall hold, those stayed in. But the, as needed, we just felt it was, give us a little more flexibility, especially time-wise, you guys are working, so.
It used to say that the budget
Specific
committee will
time.
meet on the 2nd Thursday of each month at 7 p.m., so.
In
order
a
to make it
specific
more
place,
flexible.
and it makes it tough.
That was the only change that was made to the bylaws. Again, there's no significant changes to the legislature. So that will cover that. Does anybody have any questions? Any want to go through? Okay. So then, if I can have does anybody have a nomination for a chair?
I'd like to nominate Michael Mascola for Chair of Budget
Okay.
Committee.
We don't need a second for that. So anybody else has a nomination?
I'd like to nominate Sue Sherman.
Okay.
She's going to shoot me, but that's okay.
Oh, I won't shoot you.
Okay, so we have Michael and Sue. We have 2 nominations, one for Michael, one for Sue. So, anybody else? Anybody else? No? Okay, so let's do a vote for Mrs. Sherman.
Could we open this up to discussion here from the two
Yeah.
potential
Oh,
candidates to
okay,
see if
sure.
they're interested and
Oh, yeah,
the
sure,
reasons why.
sorry, yes, I
Good
should
idea.
have asked it. So, Mrs. Chairman, are you interested
I
in?
am interested. I've been the vice chair for 2 seasons. I'm available during the day. You know, I'm retired and available to come over and work with Maria or Lisa or Kerry or whoever I need to meet with, or meet with the superintendent or the assistant superintendent, so I feel like I'm here. I mean, I've certainly seen it from both sides now, or all 3 sides, or 4 sides of the situation. I think I could lead you, as I've done in a couple of meetings that I stepped up and helped out when Todd's shoes are big to fill, and I know we're gonna miss him, but I'd like to be chair.
Okay.
Batter up, huh? I will go wherever the board wants to go, so I'll support the board. I work during the day, so let me back up. I think Sue would be a great chair. I think it's important that the person could be around for all hours. I do work during the day. I have plenty of time to talk on the phone, and I'll do anything I can. But I'm going to tell you, thank you for the support, or the kind words. But I don't think we can go wrong with Sue. I'm not gonna pat myself back or myself, but I think we'd both do justice, but Sue's a great candidate too, so. I would take it if the votes wanted it, but no hard feelings. I
No
think
hard
Sue's a great person.
Sounds like you just nominated yourself for vice.
I'm just trying to get out there.
Anybody else? Any comments, any? Are we good to go for voting? Okay, so, let's vote for Mrs. Chairman as a chair of the budget committee. All you that I agree? If I can have your
Raising
votes.
hands is what we're doing.
Raise your hands. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we have 8. All those opposed? Abstain? Majority, so.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you for helping us and for serving our district as you have always done it. So, I don't know if you want
Well,
to
we'll
move
just
here
sit
or
here.
you want to stay there. Okay. So with that, I will turn the meeting to you.
All right, so now, thank you
One
for your
chair.
confidence. So now, open to take nominations for vice chair. Mark?
Mr. Mascola.
Mike? Any others? I think personally, Mike is extremely knowledgeable. He's pretty humble, so he doesn't talk too much about himself, but he's been around a while, and he knows this SAU and the last SAU, so I think he'd be a great wingman, as they say.
I'd like to throw a comment in there while you've got it open. So thank you for the nomination. And again, I will go where the board wants. I am here for a 1-year term. I was just reelected for a 1-year term. And so I'll do my best for the 1 year. Someday, Sue won't be around, and I won't be around, because our time was, so it's nice to see new blood step up. And so if anybody was ever thinking of being chair down the road, stepping into the vice chair role to be under the leadership of somebody like a Sue would be a great experience from a side seat. So, giving anybody, if they want to think about another nomination, if not, just giving my input.
Hearing no other nominations, I think we can approve Mike by acclamation then, unless you wish to vote. I guess we can vote. Let's vote. All in favor of Mike as vice? It's unanimous. All right, so you can
All right.
either sit there for the night or move over here. Where would you like to sit?
I'll stay here for the night.
All right, then the
I
next
won't
time.
show any favoritism.
So we're going to leave that seat empty at the moment. All right, the other pieces of this are, we have a CIP committee that's in place, and we have, I'm going to double check this. I thought we had 2 members on that board. I could have sworn, Julie, that you and I both were on for a while. I'm going to check, but Christie has been and she's not here tonight to speak about it. So can we hold that? And maybe one of you think about maybe being an alternate. I served as alternate last year. Come to the meetings. They haven't been meeting as regularly as their bylaws state they're supposed to. But sit on that CIP committee and listen from a budget committee viewpoint on what projects, what thoughts, the whole spreadsheet of timetable. It's a valuable long-range planning tool that we have available. So would you mind if we waited until either I'll reach out to Christie, ask her if she's still interested, and if not, then we'll discuss it amongst ourselves. Our bylaws state that the chair appoints those kind of people to subcommittees, but we've always had a collegial kind of tone on this committee, thank goodness. And we can discuss it amongst ourselves, see who wants to step up. The other one is the Strategic Plan Committee. Todd asked me last year, because they meet during the day, if I would serve on the committee and represent the Budget Committee on that strategic, again, long-range planning committee. And I did that. Again, we haven't had a meeting for a little bit. We'll get started again, I'm sure, because we have to finish the writing of that plan, I believe, by July 1st, or we probably have a little wiggle room, but not much. So, would there be anybody that would have availability during the day to attend a strategic plan committee meeting?
I can move my schedule around to do that. I
And
have
you've worked on
flexibility.
that
I have.
before. Anyone else think they might be interested? It's kind of it's all educators, obviously, on the committee, and they get lost sometimes talking the jargon of our own kind of language that educators speak. But it's been interesting so far to talk with them. So, are you interested?
Very.
Okay, anybody else interested? Think they'd have the time?
How often do these committees meet? Do we know generally, and around what day? I'm still in the heavy carting my kids
I know,
from one place
I
to
know.
another after school phase of life, so it's hard without a schedule to
The
say.
CIP has met early evening, pretty much 7-ish, or 6:30-ish, and it's supposed to be until their work is done, so bylaws read.
Weekly, monthly, by,
With
I think
bi-
for the last year was on your calendar, every other month at 5:30, 4:30. That was last year.
Strategic, you're talking strategic plan.
Yes.
So that was late afternoon, but to me, that's daytime when you're getting supper ready and whatever. But there are so many educators and building administrators on the committee. They're trying to, of course, allow them to do this committee work, and they've got many other committees they're on. So sometimes they'd have back to back to back to back. They just switch hats and, okay, now I'm in strategic planning, and meet. So, but CIP met about 7 o'clock, and they were meeting, we'd meet every other week, then we'd meet monthly. COVID kind of messed up our schedule, but until October. So they'd meet from now till October, at least monthly, to look at where we're going for the next 6 to 10 years. It's an interesting committee.
So if I may say about that committee, so right now, we're going through a lot of projects, obviously capital improvement projects. We just had the $25 million bond list that passed. And that's why Sue said that this year we haven't met as regularly as we should, and it was because we had been doing the performance contract, so we had a company looking of all of our buildings, so we kind of put it in a standby, because not knowing what has to be done with these buildings and what is the urgency of these projects or why not. It didn't make any sense to have a meeting once a month for nothing. So we put it kind of a standby, waiting for the results of this, and now that we have the lease, we have the items, we had already prioritized the items that we really need to get done, and also the ones that are gonna present the most savings for the district. So that's how we basically came up with that list of the $25 million. So right now, we can't take any other projects as it is, because this is gonna take probably the next 4 years. It's gonna be 4 phases.
Yeah, so the chart, Maria's making some good points, but remember that chart is everything that's anything over $30,000 in capital expenses. So you gotta keep looking, and it's a fluid document, it changes, we move this over here and slide this. Okay, it's too much money in this year, we'll slide it over to the next year. I like that planning aspect of it a lot,
Very much.
but it's not a written in stone kind of form. And of course, the budget affects where we're headed for the next year, so they'll get that going again. And I would think we'll hear from them. If not, we'll move on. Recording secretaries, we need to vote to reappoint our fabulous minute taker down there, and our charcuterie board expert, and our water expert, and set the room up expert, Kerry. So are we all in favor of reappointing Kerry as our fine recording secretary?
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let the minutes, Mark's not sure.
That's
So-
scary one, too.
Do-
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, she likes this gig, after working all day. So Carrie, thank you. Let the minutes reflect that we have so reappointed you to that.
You do a great job.
Yes, she has. Her minutes have been so good. They've just improved and improved and improved as she's gone along. She's got it down pretty well pat now. Any other appointments we need to make you're aware of?
I don't think so,
I
no.
don't think so.
The other one is from the board to see who's gonna be there.
That's coming the other way. We don't,
Yeah.
yeah, we'd like to have Mark, but we don't know. Have you guys had an organizational meeting yet?
Yeah, they,
Oh, you did?
There's a distinct possibility I will be haunting the seat for another season.
Okay, that'd be great. Okay, we also have to vote to adopt the bylaws. They're included in this organizational packet, and Maria made reference to the change we made last year. That was the change. I don't know if she sent, Carrie sent these along earlier, if you'd had a chance to really look them over. She's got her frequently asked questions at the end. That's kind of fun. You can see the number of times on that back side of page 2, how many amendments they've made over the years, and you can see that one we made last year to change that time of date and time. And we can, if you look these over, even after if we adopt these tonight and see something, wait a minute, I never thought about that, we can always revisit this. It's not against the rules to do that, so. Okay, so if there's no other discussion or points of view on that, let's take a vote then to adopt the bylaws as we've received them tonight and date them for no new amendments. Okay, all in favor? That's unanimous, Carrie, thank you. So that's that. And unless there's anything else for this part of the meeting, then I'm going to close the meeting, the organizational meeting at 7:23. And open the regular meeting of the Budget Committee. So that's the other packet we have. Though, Sabrina, there's a new packet there. Everything's put together quite nicely for us. So we'll call a meeting of the regular Budget Committee meeting, March, where are we at? 30th already, at 7:24. Carrie, will you take the roll?
Yes. Sabrina Alberg.
Yeah.
Christia Claire. Catherine Consalvo. Sierra Dulce. Here. Julie Hammond.
Here.
Liz Costa.
Here.
Michael Mascola.
Here.
Sue Sherman.
Here.
Karen White. Here. Mark Sherwood.
Here.
Okay, you don't need to say the Pledge of Allegiance again, I don't believe, unless you'd like to. We've got some minutes to approve. Got a whole bunch here, I think. I'll take off my glasses because I can read better without them. We've got a regular meeting we had on December 22nd. Right, is that the first set? January 12th, and we put, can I,
One of them has the wrong date.
I'm sorry?
Do you have, oh,
I like to do the minutes one at a time, because there's different people that were at meetings, it's just a little easier to have Carrie keep
because
track
it
of the
was
vote.
Secondary meeting.
the public hearing,
Yeah.
sorry.
All right, so we're on this set of minutes, December 22nd. Can I hear a motion?
I make the motion to accept the minutes of December 22nd.
Okay, Liz makes a motion, a second.
I'll second it.
Julie, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Opposed? 0. And abstaining? 2. 6, 0, 2. That's that set. I'm going in order by the pile we have in front of us, because I'm assuming they're in numerical order. So we've got January 12th. This is the public hearing. These are a little longer set of notes. Well done. Carrie did a good job keeping a list of who was there and who wasn't.
Procedural question, should I be on under Bud as well as school board, or?
Probably both places. So, Carrie, can we just make, this is just a correction, so we don't need an amendment or
Just
anything.
add Mark.
Just add Mark
Yeah.
under Budget Committee present, Mark Sherwood, and you can always make it, you can always say School Board Rep Mark Sherwood, you can
Okay.
always,
I wasn't sure how that worked.
you can
when
always
it's
title him.
both.
Yeah.
I was just thinking if it came closer, there was a question in the future, whether there was quorum or not, if the name wasn't listed under Bud, if that could.
I called your
cause
name
issues.
twice too when we were there.
Yeah,
Did I respond both times?
Yeah, you did.
Awesome.
yeah, so just add, that's good, he's still with us. So just add him as in that area.
Okay.
Any comments, questions, or concerns about these minutes? These are really well done. Hearing no comments or questions, I'll accept a nomination to
I'll nominate to
approve. Mark,
I'll second that.
Julie. Okay, let's bring it to a vote. All approve. 2, 3, 4, 5. Noes? 0. Then the rest of us. Lost my word for a second there. What's the word I want?
Abstain.
Thank you very much. Abstain. Maybe I. 1, 2, 3, 5, 0, 3. Sorry, maybe we should have voted for Mike. My brain works faster sometimes than my mouth. That used to happen in school all the time, too. Now we're at the post-public hearing meeting that took place after, right, after, and again, we got Mark listed this time. Can I get a motion?
I'll make that motion to accept the minutes.
Liz,
Second?
a second. Who's seconding?
Sierra.
Sierra is. Abstaining. That's the correct word. I'll have it this time. Okay, so take a vote. All in favor of accepting? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nays? Abstains? 3. Okay, Carrie?
Got it.
All right, now we're into the supplemental hearing.
Make a motion to approve the supplemental
Thanks,
hearing.
Sierra.
Second.
I didn't see Karen. And any discussion or concerns on this? Yeas? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nays? 0. And abstains. 2 of us. Okay, that gets to those minutes. Phew.
Should there be 3? Because I don't think, it looks like Julie wasn't there either. Oh, am I wrong?
You
Wait,
can
Julie-
always, you
oh,
can always
okay.
vote.
Okay,
It's
I
not
wasn't-
an issue. Vote, choose not to vote. Okay, where are we? Correspondence, is there any?
Nope.
Nope.
Nothing.
Delegations and individuals? Seeing none? Admin report.
Actually, our assistant superintendent, which is acting as interim superintendent right now, couldn't be here tonight, but he wanted to record a message for you to give his administrative report.
The wording.
Hey, good evening to the Budget Committee. My name is Justin Krieger. I'm the Assistant Superintendent here in Timberlane. I certainly want to express my regrets for not being with you this evening, but also wanted to take the opportunity to thank you for the work that you're setting out to do with regards to crafting us a budget that will help meet the needs of the students across the district. To new members, we certainly welcome your input and skill set in this process. And if you're a returning member with us, we appreciate that commitment. And again, for your skill sets to be part of that process and help drive the Timberlane Regional School District forward. Wanted to provide a quick administrative update for you, to give you a couple of insights into what's currently happening in our district and what we foresee coming to the district out in the near future. The first is that of July 1, we'll have 2 open and vacant key administrative positions here in Timberlane. The first is a principal position at Sandown North, and the second is a building leader position, which will be an early childhood coordinator position at the Learning Center in Sandown Central. Those positions are filled now, and they're going to be vacated by retirements. I want to let everyone here know that we're fully engaged in that hiring process. We have vetted any number of candidates right now, and we expect interviews to begin on Monday, April 3rd. Both of those positions have the goal of securing a candidate by the end of April or at the very latest early May. So we'll keep you updated on that front. The second thing I'd like to share is that we also have a strategic plan that's in deep process right now. The first read of that plan will go to the school board on April 6th, and then from that time, it's going to get pushed out to the staff and the community for some feedback and input. The end goal is that the board will see that again in the month of May, and we are looking to be able to ratify that plan by the month of June, so we can begin crafting it and moving forward with it as of July 1. So stay connected to that plan and stay tuned in terms of any fronts there. It will have 4 major bucket areas that we're looking to pursue: learning, facilities, personnel, and community communication and connections. So we're excited to see how that plan is going to continue to guide the work for us here in Timberlane. The other thing I wanted to bring to your attention, if you haven't heard the crack of the bats outside or the voices of kids as they're running the track, spring sports is in full swing. We're running through tryouts right now and entertaining the first initial practices. So it's a great time of year. Kids are getting out of the building. The snow is gone. There's a ton of things for them to do in terms of participating after that traditional school day. So we encourage you to come out to some of those events and those sporting competitions. Again, one more way that kids can have a really good experience here across the Timberlane School District. The other 2 things I'll leave you with is that there was a professional development day here in Timberlane as of this past Tuesday. It's a unique day for us here because it's really about Timberlane educators teaching and learning with other Timberlane educators. It's a fully in-house day. We offer 25 unique and discrete sessions that Timberlane staff were able to give and offer to other Timberlane staff who are signing up based upon their choice or expected areas of growth. So a great day. Wanted to give thanks to Sandy Allaire and the Professional Development Committee for putting that on, and really excited to see that type of PD continue across the district. The last piece that I'll raise for this evening is around the next upcoming negotiation. That is with the TTA, which is our professional teaching organization here. They currently have a 1-year contract that will commence as of July 1st. That's also the date that we can begin the negotiation for the next contract cycle. This is an incredibly important negotiation. We're going into it with a very clear mindset of some of the things that we need as management. I'm sure Maria is going to be a good steerhead through that process for us as well. But really looking to secure a great contract for the staff, for the district, so that the students that are at the out end of that contract are well served. And finally, I'll leave you with tonight, you are in most excellent hands with Maria and her team. They are highly competent and highly organized. 2 great traits to have when you're dealing with millions of dollars and how to allocate those for the best interest of students. So if I haven't met you yet, I do look forward to meeting you soon, and all the best with the rest of your meeting this evening. Take care.
Thank you, sir. Excellent.
On my side, I have a couple of things that I want to add. One is today I received an email, we received our guarantee maximum rate from the insurance company, and it actually came at 4.6% instead of 10.8.
How much?
4.6% instead of 10.8. So that's that means about $750,000 in numbers. So we have a good news there. The other thing that I wanted to note is Thursday at the school board meeting, I informed the school board that I initiated the process for our lease. I am contemplating all the options that we have, which is basically the first one will go to an in-house, go out to bid and find a lessor on our own. There's advantages and disadvantages with that. The advantage is that we won't have any intermediate people. We don't have a broker. We won't have any of that. The disadvantage is that clearly that's not what I do or what we do here. I won't be looking every day into rates and see when it's good time to refinance or not. So the other option is to go through a leasing company, which is a leasing consultant company, which is one that is dedicated for municipal leases. They're out in Vermont, and most of the school districts in New Hampshire use them. We had an initial, Lisa and I had an initial meeting with them. They actually do go out to bid for us. That's their business. They're constantly monitoring and reviewing interest rates. So they will come and tell us when it's time to refinance if they see anything that is below what we currently have in the lease. So I think that alone is a huge advantage for us. So we are probably, well, the other thing is what kind of lease, because there are many different type of leases. So the lease that we are thinking and we will recommend to the school board is a master lease, which is like a blanket lease, so you have the lease, but you can phase it out in as many phases as you want. So you only borrow the money that you immediately are gonna utilize, so that way you don't pay interest in any money that you don't need to. The reason why doing it for that is because, well, first, they will save us money that we don't, interest payments on money that we are not currently needing, which is one of the points why I didn't recommend to go with a bond, with a municipal bond, because with a municipal bond, you have to borrow the entire amount day one, and you pay interest for 20 years on that amount. I do not think that's a good business decision, and that's why I propose to go with a lease. The lease you can borrow as you go, you also pay interest as you go, and you can refinance as you go, so to me.
No prepayment.
No prepayment penalties, so we will make sure that we have no prepayment penalties, so we can just refinance. If we can refinance 3 times in 1 year, we would refinance 3 times in 1 year, only looking for the best option, so that's the update with the lease. It was also discussed with the school board that we will be recommending to phase it out probably in 3 or 4 years, because it's just so many things that we're gonna accomplish under that basically we tie most of the projects to the summer when students are in here. Because a lot of capital improvements can only be done when the schools are empty. So we're gonna phase it out. We don't have we have a tentative schedule, but again, it will be presented to the school board as soon as we have a more solid proposal. And obviously, it will depend on them, and they will make the decision, but we're trying our best to put together a proposal that will hopefully make sense and that will help us to utilize our money in the best way.
Question, if you end up recommending the company in Vermont, what is their commission? How do they earn their piece of the pie?
The
They do-
bank, well, the bank pays their fees. Whatever bank wins the bid.
It's part of the interest rate.
Okay,
Part of the
so
interest,
it's
yeah.
baked into it, in other words,
Right.
so you can compare apples to apples, okay.
It's part of the interest rate, so it's not, because obviously we don't have that's the way it usually works.
Do we know if they work with all banks?
Yes.
Okay, but my reason for asking is it would be a disincentive for them if they found a slower rate for us to refinance. If they didn't have a partnership with that bank who wouldn't pay them their commission, they wouldn't bring that to the light of day.
Yeah, no, they work with most banks. We have one minor disadvantage, I don't see it as a huge disadvantage, and is that our lease is to 20 years. A lot of banks don't like to leases to 20 years, so mostly you're out just with the big banks, you know, the JP Morgans, the Chases, the Bank of America. Smaller banks, they don't like to go more than 15 years.
But they provided us with a list, or, of the banks she thinks that would fit what we're looking for, as well as she has given us her client base for local school districts. So,
We have contacted the the people that she provided us as a reference. I haven't heard back from any of them yet, but this was just this week.
Deb Mahoney did.
Oh, she
She
responded
did tonight.
today?
Yeah,
Oh,
Deb
okay.
Mahoney,
I haven't
yeah,
seen.
Pelham. so I don't know if you've been through Pelham, they're doing a lot of construction there. Pelham is one of her clients, and she couldn't speak enough praise. She said she came out looking like a hero because they told her this is when you should refinance and save the district a lot of money. So she was she's like, it was well worth their services.
And we also told her, because we have a very strong relationship with our bank, we utilize TD Bank, and we have a very strong relation. They had been amazing with us. A couple times that we had issues with payroll, we were literally in the phone with them at 1 o'clock in the morning. So I told her that I would like to give our bank an opportunity to go for the bid, so I gave her the contact for our rep, so that way we
Now,
can.
was that one of the banks that was on the pre-approved list? That
She said
provided?
they usually work with TD Bank as well.
Okay.
They're one of the big ones too.
So in theory, you shouldn't have needed to say that. If they came through with the best bid, then it would have just percolated to the surface anyway.
Yes, exactly, but I wanted to make sure that
The
she
personal
put it
touch,
out
yep.
to them, like,
Yep.
specifically to them, because we
Keep the
have a very
relationship.
good relationship, and they had been nothing but very good to us, so excellent customer service.
Mike?
So for refinancing, is there a cost associated with that?
I don't know, most likely, yes, I don't know exactly what it is. Again, we haven't formally engaged with this
So
company.
at any point, when you look at our balance, if a better bond rate comes out, you can go through that process.
Right, yes, definitely.
I mean, if it's a quarter point, it doesn't make sense because of a
Right,
fee you
the
have to
fees.
do the refinancing. But if it's a half a point and it does make sense, well then,
Or three
they'll bring
quarters.
it to our attention to let us know this is a good time to, for the rates.
The thing right now is with the craziness in the bank industry and the rates, well, you all have seen it. We have been going from 2.3 to 5.8 to 7 to 5 to, so it's like,
Yeah.
that's why I recommended to have the flexibility. Because with a bond, the day that the bond is closed, you are stuck for the next 20 or at least 10 if you're lucky, and they will allow you to get out with that same rate, and there's nothing you can do. So if that day the rate was happened to be 7.5, you're stuck with the 7.5, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Is the lease a fixed rate or adjustable?
That's why you can refinance. At
So,
least
but, I mean, for the initial period, it's fixed?
it's fixed, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, it's fixed, but then you can refinance if they. So, again, we'll see. I'll
Other
keep you informed.
yes, Liz?
Will we get penalized if we can just refinance however many times we would like? We're not gonna get penalized for going over a certain amount of times in a year?
Well, usually the rates don't fluctuate
Right.
that much that you will see unless it's crazy, which we've seen it lately. No, and we will make sure, like Lisa said, I told the lady that we're absolutely making sure there is no pre-penalty clause in the
Okay.
lease, and I mean, yeah, essentially you can do as many times, but unless it's significant, you
We
will
wouldn't
not.
be doing
Yeah.
it.
It's not different than all of us with our homes, or, you go and refinance when the opportunity is good enough to do it, so. Any other questions?
Any other questions for Maria? Well, keep us posted as we go along. It's interesting information. Okay, reports of committees. We haven't been at anything, so unless you've been to an event you wanted to talk about, this month has been music in our schools month. It's been amazing over at the PAC. I know some of you have kids in the system. Elementary chorus and elementary band and honors band and middle school band and high school unbelievable band concerts and choral concerts and violin orchestra. It's just amazing the music they get out of these kids. It's quite professional. So that's what's been going on in March. Softball, baseball, opening up, exciting time of the year. Opening day at the Red Sox, not so exciting. I'm a big Red Sox fan, so I may have to switch. Anything from your end, Mark? You guys did have your reorganization meeting?
We're still eliciting folks to bring in their choices, and there are a lot of
Committee.
overlaps, and there are a couple gaps there, so nothing to announce, nothing is solid yet. So we're hoping to get it in by this Friday is a drop dead date.
You have a chair, though, and you have those.
Yes, yes, we do. Yes, we do.
All right, anything unfinished on our agenda, Maria, that we haven't, any unfinished stuff that we didn't finish?
I don't think so, no.
Anybody have anything unfinished that we want to discuss? New business, we've got the election results here. That's the larger, right?
No, it's the second to last page of the package that has the budget. The package that has the budget, the second to last page.
Oh, with the blue.
So, as we all know, participation wasn't great this year, and that's probably part of what helped us move these warrant articles through. But every single warrant article passed. I want to take this opportunity to thank our voters for the support. I know it's a lot of funds that were added to the budget, but at the same time, as we have been discussing this last year, is money that our school and our students need. So I appreciate the support. I appreciate the confidence and the trust that you are giving all of our administrators, our teachers, and it's important to have our voters help us and support us, so thank you. You have the numbers in front of you. The budget passed 57 to 43%. I mean, it was a big increase in the budget, especially with the $1 million that we put for capital improvements, but again, very much needed. And yeah, that's what we have.
Any questions about those results? Encouraging that we had support across the district for our elected officials and for the budget in total. Anything else in this packet that we want to discuss?
So, the packet is the approved budget. If you see in the first page is that summary page that I know.
Right, starts with the chart.
Yes, I know the members of the board of the budget committee like that
We do.
distribution. So we have our total budget this year is 86,796,915. That does include the capital reserve contribution. So if you see on the right side, I took out the capital reserve contribution. Without it, it's at 86,546,915. Again, it's a big increase from the prior year. It's almost 14% increase, but it's a budget that is gonna support the programs and the initiatives and the improvements that we need to take care of at our district. We have a 5% increase in salaries, 12% increase in benefits, and 32% in operating expenses. Then I added the report that includes the comparison to the prior years, budget to actual for prior years, and it's by line item. So again, if at any point you have any questions, if you want any detail on any of those accounts, I please encourage you to contact our office. You can contact Lisa, you can contact me, you can contact Carrie, and one of us will get back to you. And if you want to come over, sit down and have a conversation, or if you want any information, please reach out.
A question, perhaps it's a silly one, but I'll ask it anyway. With the MGR going down from what we had to budget at 10.8, that's about, we're going to realize about a $750,000, not benefit, but we're not going to be on the line for that. Is that reflected in the new benefit statement? Okay.
Yes,
Just wanted
so
to make
that's
sure.
part of that 12% benefit
Perfect.
increase, so
Yeah.
that's 750 most likely.
Do you
will
remember
go.
what it was before when we did bake in the 10.8, what that was? If you don't remember, that's fine, I can go back in my notes. So it's currently an increase of 12, would it have been an increase of 14, 15%? Do we know?
Is it 15?
I'm trying to remember,
I didn't bring those.
it's not important.
Yeah, I
Not
don't
important.
remember, I can look, I
Yep.
can
Nope, don't
get
worry.
back to you, but I don't know.
I would pay for it
Top of
too
my
at home,
head.
no worries.
Yeah, so, again, if you have any questions, if you want me to go through any of the detail. So, those pages behind this one have by line item. I also printed the big, report that I had printed for you in the past, which is just the summary. I lumped up by categories. Sabrina and Liz, I know you're new, so this big report, not the one that has all the graphs, but just the one that has the graphs at the bottom. That one, so what I did last year was I created this category, so it's easier to look at the budget. And I did, as far as you can see, as whatever it is, 2014 actual. So you have every year budget and actual, what has been our budget, how, and the difference between those categories. And then the second part, the black charts, is only the actual for each of those years. And the increase year over year. It's a good summarized way to look at our expenses and where our district is spending the dollars. And
I like the graphs, I like the visual. And so Maria started doing that a couple of years ago, the pie graph and then the line graphs, so you can see, how it kind of works.
on this report, please notice that the most recent years are to the left, which for some people is backwards, but that's the way our system reports, so that's why we follow that.
Current one is
That
on the,
logic, so the
is the
current one is
first
to
thing you
the
see.
left,
Yeah.
and then the out years are to the right.
Tougher to look at those years where COVID was a factor, because I think that affects the look, you know. Like to take those 2 years out of our minds, out of the visuals, but.
Yes, everything looked very different during those 2 years. There's one category we see in the middle charts, on the black charts. There's a category, the professional services. If you see from 2021 to 2022 actual, it has a decrease of 56%. That is because, so it's like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines on the
Gotcha.
black charts. On the right. That is because the SAU 55, the portion that we contributed to the SAU 55, was under that line. The whole $1.7 million, I think it was, that we contributed to SAU 55 was on that line. So because the
Oh,
fiscal year.
when we split, you
Uh-huh.
mean? Okay, gotcha,
So
gotcha.
fiscal year 2022 was our first year without SAU 55, so that's why you see that big drop. 56% is huge. So that's what it is.
Gotcha. Again, to just repeat what Maria said, particularly for Sabrina, you look this over and you have any questions, they're really good about getting right back to us on it, or there's no wrong question. It's been very, very, and by statute, we can ask for any information we wish as a budget committee and get it in any format we wish. So you want it in a graph form? She's got to figure out how to answer your question in a graph. I'm being facetious, but they've been super cooperative. And they spend a lot of time answering our questions, so don't be afraid to ask questions
Yeah,
as we go
please
along.
don't. I do encourage you to understand and be comfortable with the information.
Because-
We're happy to.
We can discuss this budget all we want, but we're done that budget, and we're starting another one. It's, our job is to get all the numbers together and move along. So, thank you for the, and they'll give us reports as they go on this. Thank you, Maria, these are always
Awesome.
awesome, yeah, sometimes more information than you can possibly
Yeah, this year I also added
swallow.
the tax rates, which the projection, so I had a discussion with the DRA about the projection of tax rates, because to me, that's kind of shooting yourself in the foot. Because it's so many variables that affect tax rates. Especially these last 2 years, we have seen what happened. We were thrown money left and right for all kinds of reliefs, and that had a huge impact in our tax rates. So the last 2 years, our tax rates actually decreased significantly. What we're looking now with the increase in our budget is going back to a more normal 2019, 2020 rate, which is what we had before these 2 years of spoil numbers that we.
Can you just repeat that again? You're expecting, are you looking at this chart right here on the upper left?
Mm-hmm.
You're expecting the rates to go back to more of a normal?
To go back to where we were before COVID. And again, like I said, it's very hard to predict tax rates
Sure.
because it's so many things that are at play when the DRA calculates our tax rates. So we have allowance for credits of money that we receive. So if it's federal aid, some federal aid classified to go against the tax rate, some federal aid doesn't classify. Some state aid classifies, but some state does not classify. So it's very extremely hard to predict. Like the our DRA representative told me, she's like, why do you do that to yourself, Maria? Why are you projecting tax rates? Do
Because
not.
people want to know.
I understand, but it's so hard
Sure.
that she told me, she's like, you shouldn't be doing that to yourself. You are shooting yourself on the foot because I wouldn't even project anything for you because I don't
But
know.
it's a double-edged sword, right? So you ask people to support, and they wouldn't go, "Oh, okay, so
What's that?
What
do
is
to-
the
what,
impact, right?
what can I expect?" You know, without holding you to it.
Well, they do hold you to it, that's the
But-
problem.
But my point is,
And that's the,
if the school put out a press release and said, "We anticipate the numbers to look something like this," that's not holding, because that's a press release.
I understand, but there's unfortunately.
So
there's
these
people that
numbers
do
on the
hold you.
chart take us up till June of 2023, right?
So, no, so this question actually came on during deliberative. Any reports that come out of the SAU are in fiscal year, so it's not, calendar year, is fiscal
Yeah,
year. So you
it's
have here, the
July 1, June
2023 rate is the current year rate, so.
That's correct,
it's
what
the
we're doing right
fiscal-
this minute.
Is the calendar year 2022 rate that we just got last fall, but here it says 2023 because it's our fiscal year 2023.
So as of July 1st, the
A new
rate
year.
will then change.
In October, the DRA will calculate new rates, which again is so hard to predict. So I did a couple of calculations. I have to estimate the credit that we will be allowed, which again, I have no idea what it is because it's very hard to know. I have some assumptions that I can use, but it's not certain. So
I think-
what I am predicting is that we're gonna be probably in the, between 2018 and 2019 rate. That's what I think. Again, this is an assumption,
When
this is a
DRA comes
projection.
out in October, November, and sets. I'm glad that you said that. Actually, no, I'm not.
No, But
18
again-
or 19?
like in between those two.
Between those two.
Okay,
Between those two.
so I'm just thinking out loud going forward, like that magic crystal ball. So the community supported pretty much all of the school requests. And so when that tax bill comes out,
In December.
December, and you said you go through DRA in October, November to work on it. I mean, if it stayed at those 18, 19 numbers, that would almost be good. But could
Yeah,
it be good
because-
if we're up 14%?
Well, that's the, like today, we got a $750,000 relief.
Right.
That's what that big gap is for us.
I didn't know that. Nobody knew
Right,
that.
right.
I just knew it today. So I can't,
For us as well.
again, this is a very intuitive, based on what I know, projection. I can't be
Right.
certain on what is going to be. Because, if the lease, so the lease has a $2 million payment. If we start the lease in this July, the first payment won't be due until the next July. So I will have another $2 million to give back to the taxpayers. I don't know. Right? I don't know if we're gonna close the lease in May, June, July. I don't know. So it's a very, very fine and challenging.
And I wish, and we've discussed this amongst ourselves, that, we wish we had a number, because the problem is they hold you to it. So if you said, well, I think the tax, I think, I don't know how many times, I'm estimating, someplace between what Plasto was paying in 19 to 20, 18 to 19, they want a specific number.
They're gonna remember the number and nothing
$28.
else.
I had
Right.
4 people already after deliberative session that had called me and hold me down to that number that was in that piece of paper. I very patiently spent long time with them explaining what I'm saying right now, and that's why I want to say it publicly. I do not have a crystal ball. I have assumptions and projections that I can put together. But again, things like today, $750,000 pop out of nowhere. I can't predict that.
But the opposite can also happen during the school year.
Right.
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 We have an emergency and we need $1.5 million because our 3 roofs collapsed. It's life.
So forget the predictions, except this one I'm gonna give you. I mean, no, without holding a number, right? So we don't know what's gonna happen at the end of this year. But we just gotta watch out and be careful, because whatever work that the school board does and whatever the budget committee does and all the administrators, if a number comes out in December that's unfavorably high, right? Because we don't know what's gonna happen between now and with all your plus and minus 750,000. If it comes out unfavorably high right before the voting season, so just picture this, right? You open up your tax bill and it's higher than you anticipated, unfavorably higher than you anticipated. That sour piece of paper is going to stick in your mind. So that's
Until
December
March,
1.
right.
And then we're gonna go through public hearings, we're gonna go through deliberative, and they're gonna be going, are you kidding me? So this is gonna be a tough year based on what you guys get as your pluses and minuses along the journey, all the way up till December.
Yes, and not only that, but that's why I also wanted to remind the voters and the taxpayers, that these last 2 years, our taxes had decreased. And that is not normal. That is very abnormal. So the decreases that we have, if you look in the chart on the upper left, which is the total tax for each of the towns, we went in Atkinson, we went pre-COVID 17.67 to a 12.27. That's a huge decrease. We went in 2020, in year 2020, Danville was at 28 and 6 cents, and in this year is at 19.61.
But Maria, aren't these
So-
numbers also reflective because the property values went up?
Well, the valuation also has
Yeah,
to do with
valuation,
it.
yeah.
But all the aid that we received in these last 2 years has a huge impact as well.
Okay.
Because we were giving additional relief, additional aid from the state and the federal government that we usually don't have. So again, if Danville goes back into the $27, it's not out of craziness, 2018, they were at 28, 2019, they were at 27, 2020, they were back to 28. So the $28 tax rate for Danville is not crazy out of this world, is what, for the last 3 normal years they had. But then they had a 19, so when you go from 19 to 28, people are gonna scream, but hey, people, let me remind you that that's where you were before this craziness happened. You know what I mean?
I know what
Yeah.
you mean, but they don't have this chart. They're
And-
gonna look at one single piece of paper.
That's what I'm trying to communicate here and communicate to the public, and we should probably send a message reminding people closer to the fall that this is what was before. Now, the government gave us all this relief, all this aid, no different than at home, right? We receive our relief money in 2020 or 2021 when it was, yeah, it helped, it was a helpful aid, but that's out of the normal.
Right.
Would it be appropriate and or feasible, and I'm afraid I'm stepping in a bear trap here, to, as we do get closer, to be proactive with a sheet similar to this, just with some harder, faster numbers, and a brief explanation, to put it out there on our site, and obviously to be spread, on the Facebook pages where people tend to congregate. Would have to be careful so that it didn't seem as if we're politicking.
Because we
it's-
cannot
Yeah.
lecture here.
We're not that we're not.
Yeah, I mean, but to get the information out in a way that's appropriate.
Did you bring that up to the school board? Because it's really, not sure it's up to this committee to put that out. I think your board would need to really, Mark, I'm not trying to pass the buck here.
No, I don't know the
But
answer
I
to it,
don't
that's why I'm
think
asking.
it's our committee's job to, you guys spend the money. So if you want to put out those kind of, what do you-
Yeah, and it's fine.
What do you think,
I can
Mike?
also bring it
Julie,
up.
Liz,
Oh.
I'm looking at the
Oh, God.
elders on the committee here.
We're the old guard.
Yeah,
This is
I don't
why I
know.
like this type of reports,
yeah.
because it helps you to,
So you may want to consider something where, no Facebook type stuff.
Yeah.
None of
Just
that stuff.
post it on the
I think there should
website.
only be a link, no matter where you put it, that points to
A website.
press releases that are given, so nobody can take anything out of context. Your office puts out a press release that says whatever it's going to say. Put the link wherever you want. But just get rid of all the interpreters.
yeah.
I agree.
That makes sense.
I think
So it does not-
Because I think the total impact in that chart is very interesting.
Because I think to what, Michael was saying about, people's perception is what's gonna happen in the time frame is we're gonna drop that bill on December 1st when everyone gets it, and you're gonna have people going into holiday season, heating season, right? So I think as more clairvoyant as we are, as early on as we can be and answer those questions, then it's already in the minds, and I think I do have to say, given numbers is, because we all see what, happens in our community, and as soon as we say a number, we can say estimate, we can say, I think, you can say it however you want, and that number's not gonna leave someone's mind, whether it's positive or negative. But I have to say that I think a link too, just because I see what happens in Facebook, I think if we post on Facebook,
I wasn't recommending a
Yeah.
direct post. It'll
Just-
end up there.
Yeah.
And that's the disseminator of information, not the
Right.
Tulane, SIU webpage.
because
Yeah.
then what happens, we all know is, everyone else is, the budget committee, and it could have, should have, and
Yep.
all those other things. But I think it's gonna be a tough year to sell, but we also wanna make sure that the voters know, the what's, whens, wheres, and hows.
I think anybody who's really paying attention now is kind of bracing themselves for a pretty hefty increase.
Look at the low voter turnout, and part of that was weather, but part of that is I think a lot of people just don't notice, and they will notice once they do get the tax bill. So your idea of a link to a press release that the SIU, a factual one, could put out there, could be a conduit for discussing this in an intelligent manner.
For sure.
Yeah, no, it's also, again, understanding what are the things that affect our
Yeah.
tax rate. So it's the valuation of your town, so depending what town you have, how many students
You
attend
send.
our schools from your town, which is what happens at Sundown, right? So Sundown residents usually are very upset, but you have the most kids because you have the newer homes, you have the
We're still
the-
building.
the-
I was
the-
gonna say more
the
construction.
lower, right, the lower valuation, so lower valuation, higher tax rate. That's, is just the way it is. So you have high students, you have the lowest valuation, you do have the higher tax rate. And that has nothing to do with us. Obviously, we contribute to it, and the way we very responsibly spend our money has a lot to do with it, which, believe me, we here do our best effort to count every penny. We are extremely frugal, I think, to the other side, almost. You can ask anybody. how
That
much
works for you.
I am very careful, I'm very frugal. I try to do my best in saving every penny that we can, because I'm conscious of everybody has a family, everybody has their own responsibilities, and we are here trying to do the best that we can.
I don't think anybody would even raise to argue that they don't think the business unit is not doing a good job.
No.
It's just, it's the formula, it's the way it works.
And I also think we need to be mindful of what's happening up in Concord
Sure.
right now. And the budget that's being created right now, and how is that gonna affect us within the next 2 to 3 years?
Right. Yeah, because that's the other thing, that's another variable that last year, so we have the regular tax rate that we are taxed on, and then the other portion, which is the town, which again is us, the taxpayers, it's not different, I don't know why they divide it in two. But that second part, which is the statewide tax rate, last year, the state gave 100 million relief to it. That's 100 million relief, that's 3 points in your total tax rate.
Yeah.
For a town. So it's like, who knew? Nobody. It was just a last minute decision from the state. Again, nice gesture, not to be disgraceful, but you don't know it.
Right.
You can't predict it. So,
One more? So if I just go back to this, the chart, the one on the upper left, the color-coded charts. So you mentioned that the 2024 could possibly be between, right, if we did some prediction, the 18-19 rates. But just help me out. So if property values don't change, right, they just stay stable-ish, and you go back to some of these rates that are higher, that's going to be a big increase.
yes, because we did increase the budget significantly. I mean,
Yeah.
we increased the budget 13%. But you can't do a
No, no.
correlation
Right,
that
right.
your rates are gonna increase 13%, because that's not how it works. So again, and then the number of students, you know, how many families are gonna move into the district? How many families are gonna move into Plasto? How many families are gonna move into Danville? How many families are gonna move? There's a lot of construction going on in Sundown and a little bit in Danville. You know, they have all these condos popping in, which that's gonna drive probably younger families with kids.
It's the only affordable housing, even close to affordable housing now, are the townhouses in our area. So, yeah, that's where
Yeah.
young families
That's
will
where
go
young
if they
families
want.
with school-age children move into. So if all of a sudden you get 200 kids in one of the towns, that swings the calculations
Right.
for everybody.
You did these calculations for us. Are these posted anyplace?
Well, they will be posted in the budget committee side. And this is not the first time that I make this. And the other thing is that I wish people will come to things like this, because this is where the information
No,
is.
they like to wait till the public hearing.
Exactly.
Come to the, what did you say? Come to the final, having never attended the class, and ask the professor to teach the entire class
And your final exam.
5 minutes before the final
And
starts.
disagree.
Yes. And then
And argue
disagree,
with the
and
professor.
then call and tie you to something that is not
I
there.
think that's where educated voters come from, because if we're not taking the time to learn it as we go, then a lot of voters will go to the polls and say, oh, 600, okay, because they went for something else. So now they're there, 600, not even knowing what they're
What they're
voting.
voting. That's right.
Right? And then this happens afterwards, and they have no idea, because they didn't even know, they just saw, oh, 601, okay, you know? And I
Yeah.
think that's how a good percentage of people who don't follow along end up voting.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what it
Our,
is.
that recommended or not recommended is a pretty powerful
Right.
tool
Tool.
we have.
The other part, just to observe, and it's all in front of you, but if you look at the votes by town, just to pass the budget, they're not very good numbers. You got like 2 towns.
I think if you saw the historically, that's been
So here is
similar.
historically, the other
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
report that I gave you is
Yeah,
the
shows the historical trend,
historical.
where they've
trend.
been.
But that's historic by all 4 towns summed up
Oh,
together.
sum up,
I'm just
yeah.
saying, if you looked at the 4
That's right.
communities, it's almost like you have to do more proactive outreach education, in maybe into certain communities, to
Absolutely.
gain their trust, vote, whatever you want to do, but.
Well, and yeah, because it's like I said, it's those towns that see the biggest increase or that pay the higher rates, not understanding why, right?
Would it be worth it to, this almost goes back to, and I'll say so if Sanborn has a high growth potential, is that correct,
Down.
right?
Stand down.
Sandown.
Yes, it
Sorry.
does. It's still
Um,
growing.
To go back and almost to the Board of Selectmen and say, are you putting in larger impact fees to curb growth, like only do 100 houses a year?
We're in the town is in a predicament because the state dictates the planning rules essentially, and the town planning board is charged with administering them. So if it is written at the state level, the town really can't, say no to a builder
So this-
or make these limitations on property owners, or we get sued.
Yeah, snob zoning's no longer a
And
thing.
when we get
Communities
sued,
can
we
do.
lose, and then the builder can do whatever they want, basically. So we're in a really tough position
Tell
as
me
a
again, the
town.
state is telling the town what?
Well, because there is a housing shortage, at the state level, there's a huge push for housing and for affordable housing and it's actually called workforce housing. So if any developer comes and says, I'm gonna build some affordable or workforce housing, it's like a green light from the state, and the town has to sign off on it as long as it adheres to the state housing.
Thank you.
That was me.
Yeah. Well, good discussion, and as we go forward, keep these thoughts in mind as we go forward with the next plan and presentations and are planning the next round. Okay, where are we? We've reviewed budget process we're on. It should be in that packet, is it the meeting schedule we're looking at?
Yes. So it's the last page of the package that has the graph. This package.
So here we are, March 30th, so our next meeting would be the tours of the campuses. We've got those penciled in already. The facilities tours. And then the presentations begin. And you haven't set up a chart yet. We'll set up a chart with
Who
who will present
each day.
one. I thought that,
Once
I really liked
Once I have
that.
the dates,
Right,
once you approve tonight the dates, then we will do a chart of who's presenting. Actually, I think Carrie put it here, yeah. Carrie put it there.
I didn't know if you wanted to move anything around, so I didn't
Tentative,
wanna make
yeah.
it final.
yeah, so she's kind of penciled in what we'd hear on the first night, what we'd hear each night, following the chart we used last year. And we did move a few things around as we went, because people, it just, sometimes some of those bigger budgets, was all up in the air, and so we were, tried to accommodate.
I wasn't sure if you wanted to break up that last one.
The last one on the 9th,
That was really
that was a long evening.
Yep, that would be
Curriculum, professional,
that could be
high
2
school, student
meetings.
services, special,
We ended
yeah.
up splitting it last time.
We probably should have at least maintenance,
Can we put,
maintenance and facilities probably can use its own night.
can we put the high school, can we move the high school up to the 26th of October and do, oh, that's a lot. Athletics,
lot, yeah.
music, CIP, that won't, middle school and technology. Curriculum, professional learning won't be too long, will it? Usually isn't. The high school one tends to be
What we
longer.
can do is we can put,
Ken's usually pretty quick.
What'd you say?
Ken,
Ken.
for technology,
Yeah,
he went first last year.
yeah.
I'd like to make a proposal for a discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Before we like fine tune this order of all the presenters. This is for discussion. What do you guys think, what does everybody here think if the administrator, principal, the department head, whoever it is, if their budget isn't going to increase by some amount, we can determine amount, don't come by. Do we need to have somebody come by if they say my budget's up $100? It's discussion, because I'm gonna tell you what we did last year, is we sat through about 6, 7 meetings, and these people are coming in, giving their time, and then they're going like, and they're plus and minus a couple or a few thousand. And then your team sums up and says, okay, you heard the pluses and minuses of a couple thousands. Here's the millions. What are we doing with the millions? And the thousands is just noise in the grand scheme of things. And so I'm just wondering, for a better use of time for us, would it be worth our while to say, listen, if you've developed a budget and you're not seeing a certain increase, really you don't need to come in front and do the dog and pony show and put productive time for them somewhere else and productive time for us somewhere else. It's a thought. Because what I've always seen is we do the facility tours and we do all the presentations, and then we're left with like 2 weeks to wrap up a number. And I know from an earlier conversation with Sue, maybe something also to do is if we do that, maybe if your team can, if it's possible, do a cumulative sum to say, because instead of waiting to the end and say, okay, everything that you just heard over the last 6 weeks is 83 million. I don't know, after the week 1, you can say, hey, folks, this is where we're at. And that week 2, sum up those two. Is it possible? Would it help?
Yeah, we could.
That was actually my idea, and I had run it by Liz, is I felt right at the end that number was very sticker shock. I really was kind of affected that night, like, what? Wait a minute, how did it get up that high? Because as we heard presentations, I'm putting 1,000 over here, but it's going in this account, and this isn't going up, and I didn't hear I didn't hear such a big number until we got right to the end, and then we had to make a big decision, and we don't know what all the warrant articles are looking like. We're basing our recommendation within an hour. We had to make a decision. Remember, I even said, I'm not even sure I want to vote tonight. I want to wait till we,
Right, and to me, it was being appointed and sitting in and only hearing half. it was truly like, I was in shock. Like, I'm like, yeah, I'll do whatever you tell me to do, because I just couldn't believe that it was so high. It was such a high budget.
So, couple of things. First, to if I may say something about what
Mike's idea?
Mike just brought up, I actually think it's a good idea. Clearly, what our recommendation is for the schools and for the budget managers to stay where they are, if something to give back to the pool, but not to increase their budget. So try to make it work within the lines, move as many funds as you need, but just stay within the lines. So if that is the case and they don't have,
You're telling them to level themselves?
yes, so
Okay.
we encourage them to look line by line their budgets, which most of them do. They come to us, we sit down with them, we look line by line. Okay, where are you spending the money? Where did you spend last year? Where did you spend the year before? Do you still need this money for this? Do you still need this money for that? Last year you bought tables. Where are you gonna use that money next year? Do you need it? No. Okay, so then give it back, so we can
Yeah, don't budget it again.
use it somewhere else.
So that's at their scrubbing level.
Which
as
you
they
have
go
seen
on.
the last 2 years, they have changed, they have redistributed their budgets because of that. We're encouraging them to take a look where you need the money, what are your plans next year, what initiatives do you have, and what money do you need to accomplish that, right? So if that is the case and they're not changing, I think your proposal is a very good idea because it doesn't waste
Very
time.
good idea.
The other thing is that, yes, I agree with the increase, but you have to look what are the big increases, right? So it's benefits, usually it's
Yep.
salaries.
And things we couldn't, we can't,
benefits.
cannot
We-
control.
Exactly.
Right, so we need to
cannot-
know that number, so as we hear, let's use tables as the example, rather big expense for a small school, that has no impact on the bigger bottom line
83 million.
of things we can't control.
And I understand what is a fixed cost versus
Me too.
that flexible cost. So, you know, these are going to be our fixed costs, no matter what. This is what we have, and I hate to use this phrase, but to play with. What we can work and massage to get it to be a little lower, to make it more reasonable for the taxpayer, so that, you know, we aren't all having sticker shock and having the reactions and the responses we got at the deliberative session.
Yeah. Mark, something you wanted to throw in?
Yeah, just thinking this through, using the example of the tables. So say a smaller school, you know, $20,000 for tables. If they don't come in front of us, they say, yeah, I don't have much of an increase, then it would be up to their discretion. And even though it, you know, is pennies on the dollar, they could move that $20,000 that were spent for tables, say, for an outdoor fencing or something else. Or what if you have a principal that says, you know what, I don't want to spend anything on technology or books this year. I want a new track or trampoline or whatever. That's something that I think, even though it's just pennies, we need to have a purview on, because there are other schools that are very tight that have not had those funds to spend. So I guess I would be comfortable with it if 2 weeks in advance we had their complete budget. So
Yeah, I was gonna actually say the same thing. If we go this route, I think we should have the budgets earlier. And if possible, is that a possibility so that we can look through it? And if there is a variance, you know, over a certain maybe percentage over the past year or what have you, then maybe that's a situation where we ask the building
You know, why aren't you
principal to come
buying
in
any books
and
this
just come
year?
on in and we can chat about it, you know? Do you not agree with that, or?
I think asking, I'm putting my other hat on, putting a building principal who's already presented a budget, presented it past the business office, maybe at the superintendent level as well, to then have that ready 2 weeks early to give to us. I don't think that's a practical, rational thing for those people to do. I'm just telling you.
They have been doing historically.
I mean, if they've already presented it to other
But it's being
departments,
scrubbed.
wouldn't
It's
it-
sometimes being scrubbed
Yeah,
almost
they
to the
do
last
present to
minute,
us.
till when we get those documents. If you recall, last year, we got some documents that were incorrect. The budgets were changed, there was some changes made almost at the last minute. I strongly disagree with Mike. I think we should see everybody at the stakeholder level who wants to come in and talk about their budget. I just think that's our responsibility. And yep, it means meetings and sometimes long nights, and we'll have a nice charcuterie board to go along with it. But it's our responsibility to give those stakeholders a chance to talk about what book they want to buy, what reading program they want. They do want to talk about their educational initiatives. They do. And sometimes it is down to tables. It just is. I'm telling you, this table isn't safe. We listened to that.
I actually took a tour to see the tables.
That's
so
right.
yes.
You went over and looked at tables. I had an issue with, they wanted, what was it, microphones and cameras in their presentation. I want everybody to have, every school to
Everybody.
have a quality presentation. If we hadn't heard that, I mean, not saying they wouldn't have got good stuff, but I want everybody to have good, and I thought it should have come out of technology. It's an audiovisual thing. It shouldn't come out of your building, but,
I agree.
and all of a sudden, things just got tweaked a little bit. I think it's valuable. I don't need to hear, I put $1,000 over here and then, but they were doing some rearrangement with Maria's help of where those accounts are listed. You know, it's a 4303 account. At our level, do we care about which, we look at the bottom line as, really, don't we?
Can we make some sort of a compromise then? Because I'm kind of hearing, I understand, as a teacher and as someone who watches my dean do these budgets, I know how much work these people put
Yeah.
in. But I also think that as a teacher and as a member of this board, I don't need to know which line it went from where. That honestly, my brain was like, I want you guys to get your reading level books, whatever, but I don't care what line it is. So could we ask these deans, these principals coming in, we want your bottom line, we want to know about the tables, we want to know about the microphones, but if you had to move a budget line from 2 to 5A, we don't need to worry about that. Because I think some of the presentations, if we could just get to the nuts and bolts and like, tell us what you want, like I want to hear what you want, but I also, the admin stuff, I think,
As long as all the schools did it the same way, because if one school
Right.
says, you know what, I want all these LCD projectors and these new microphones and et cetera, I'm gonna move that to technology. That all of a sudden frees up, you know, a piece of pie that the other schools that are not coding it the same way, you know, maybe Sandown isn't coding on it
But
technology.
that's
Isn't that what they do with
Maria's
Maria?
job.
That's
And
Maria's
Lisa
job.
So as
Stacy.
long
Isn't that already
as, as long
happening?
as they're looking at it the same way, I would be comfortable.
okay.
What about go ahead, Julie, then I'll.
A couple things. One, just regarding some of that account changing things that they were doing. I think that Maria's been trying to kind of streamline things over the last couple of budget seasons. So I really wouldn't anticipate seeing tons of that because you have been doing a lot of
Right,
it.
that's what I think.
So I'm thinking there's probably gonna be less of that. And the other thing I was thinking, would there be a way to get some of these higher budgets on the agenda earlier on in the season, or are these
That's
later
so
because
the
they're
bigger
just
budgets are
taking-
harder.
This is what
Yeah.
is what I started saying, and the conversation took somewhere else. So, the higher buckets are salaries and benefits, primarily transportation and food service. Those are the 4 huge items, right? Negotiations this year ended the first week in January.
6 hours before midnight.
So
Not even.
Yeah.
Well, even when
the rate for the insurance, the guarantee maximum rate comes usually November.
Maybe.
October, November, yeah.
Yeah.
November,
Right.
maybe.
If
So
you're
again,
lucky.
that's another huge item that I don't have until November.
Right, but I also think, I'm sorry, I believe what Julie was kind of stating was, could we get like those bigger budgets that are presented to us to come earlier instead of later? But then Mrs. Sherman stated that those are the harder budgets to put
To
together.
put together,
Yeah.
right.
So,
Yep, the element,
We have to wait for enrollments to have those budgets, we have to wait
and I
for
know,
how many athletes we're gonna have, how many, everything is a trickle effect. So in the summer, we still don't know how many kids are coming.
I know.
You know,
And
it's
we
not
don't-
until September that we know how many kids we truly have, who is gonna participate in what sports, who is gonna, how many people, how many kids are gonna sing, how many programs are we gonna have, how many classrooms are we gonna, it's just, everything doesn't get set up until September.
Right.
right. So let's go back to Liz's point again, and was one of my thoughts too. If we took back to this and just looked at, this is what we can affect, green, right? Right? As we hear those stakeholders present their budget that affects this green area, am I on my track? We can get we could
A
put a
running
little
tally.
running tally. Okay, here's where we are. If there was no green, here's where we are. We're starting at 61 million. Right? And, okay, Atkinson and that added, and now we're at 61
So
million,
we do
200.
the elementary and
Just
then we're,
right.
It's gonna be like a thermometer.
Yeah, almost like a, yeah.
for the steeple.
Is that possible to do, Maria, or is that, again, I worry about that being said out loud,
But
because,
I also think it helps us talk to our townspeople in our community when we're out and about. Oh, yeah, so it's been presented, so this is what we can and cannot control, this is what's been presented so far. Why don't you come in and listen to some of the stuff? I remember back in the day when we were all on the board and we would sit at the PAC for 2 nights and just go through budget after budget after, do you remember that?
was much more detailed, painful, actually.
Yes.
Painful for the administrators having to be there. I think that I liked every presentation we had last year from everybody. I thought they did a great job. The facilities one was particularly interesting to me. It gives you a face to connect to a school to, and I know that we don't have much of an audience, but there are people that do watch these meetings and say, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's the high school principal. Oh, he's only been here a few years. Oh, that's who that is. That's my point, is having them have a chance to talk to us about what they're proud of at their school, it isn't always a want, it's sometimes a need.
Yeah.
And you heard the principal from the high school said, if I could have what was the figure, 300 million or to give, to give everybody free lunch and free breakfast? You know, I thought that was an interesting discussion. It was an intellectual discussion because there was no way we could spend that much money. But
Yeah,
it's
an initiative.
I think it's interesting to know those people for that. But I do like knowing kind of where the running tally thermometer is as we go along, because so we don't get to that last minute when we had to make a huge discussion. And you remember Julie was like, I don't know. She didn't feel comfortable with it. And I understood that. I didn't either.
This year, also a couple of things. I was looking at the major drivers this year, and this year we had both transportation and food service new contracts.
Yeah.
So those two are huge too. Now we have a 3-year contract, so transportation we will know right off the bat how much
So
it
you'll
is.
know that number.
Yep.
The health thing is always up in the air, kind of no salaries.
Well, you figure there's
Well,
only one
salaries-
contract that's not,
So
that
you've got-
needs to negotiate.
so we
You have
do
12 at
have-
TTA that we're now set.
So we
kinda
do
know the
have
increases.
salaries
We
for
have
5
that,
unions.
wouldn't it be great if the unions would work with the district to kind of stagger those contracts, so we're not,
These were points of discussion.
so that we weren't hitting it with
All at
4
once.
contracts every 3 years and kind of stagger it
Not our
so
job.
that,
This is
I know
maybe
it's not,
widely
but
discussed.
I know it's not our job,
It's
but
very, yeah.
that's my wish.
If we're making wishes, and
I think we all share the same wish.
So back to our same point, so, whether you bring the presenters in, right? we're gonna be in the same scenario. We're gonna come down to one, maybe 2 meetings, where we truly have a more accurate number from the business team. After hearing all the presentations, that we have 2 meetings, as you know. And, we have to make our decision, and it's a shuffle. What's the school board doing for defaults? How much can we
How many
spread?
warrant articles, which we didn't know, which
Would it
upsets
be
me,
worth
I
it
wanna
to
know what they're gonna
solicit the
have.
opinion of the administrators and see how they feel about it?
It's not,
I mean, would it be, I mean, just for input, not for any, just to see how they would, what the response might be?
The other thing we can do, and I can certainly talk to them, but if you, to the point that the line by line is not really what you guys want to hear, it's more like the initiatives that they have or what their needs and that they have, we can switch it to, instead of being a report, the reports that we have been using, we can have each of them do a presentation with just the bullets of what initiatives are they trying to accomplish and what are the different things that they're doing this year.
well, that would shorten, perhaps shorten their presentation, but it, to Mike's point, it still gets us wicked close to almost before the hearing. You know, I realize we have Thanksgiving and Christmas, unless we're gonna have our Thanksgiving dinner and Christmas here together, which I'd be fine about. I love
I
you
don't think
all.
it would though, because then I think this whole thing started because we were trying to figure out how to get all these into 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, you
So
gotta
what
start
if we
earlier.
did it that way, we could do it in 3 nights perhaps.
Yeah, you gotta start earlier
Well,
or put more into a night.
that's what
Are
I'm
you
saying.
willing to stay here?
Well, not if these, not if, no, not if these meetings go down to half hour. If each, I mean, when my dean comes to us and gives us the budget, she's not doing that. And I know I'm a teacher, but she's saying, hey, Sierra, this is what I'm going to the school board, da, 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 da. You guys want these new books. I'm telling them that we need this and this and this. This is the budget that I'm presenting.
bullet points.
It's quick. Mark wants the like, I understand, these are good to have, like the big pieces of paper too, but they don't need to, we can take this and look at it and go home with it. Like, I don't need to go, I can get that from them. They just do the bullets, like, this was the stuff that I was interested in. The bullets made sense to me. This, I can't understand this while I'm listening. I need to go home and look at this
Right,
big
right.
stuff, but then we could do September, October, then we would have November, December. We'd have 3 meetings. If we could fit more people into the September, October, we could do the tours all in September, get the meetings done by October, have all of November for us to meet.
No, because
So that could be a good
the schools
approach
are
where
in the summer break.
you really condense, Sue, for the people that want
Exactly.
those folks here. You get them here, but we make it like the Cliff Note version.
Exactly.
And we have a copy of the budget
If we
so
have
that
it.
we have it, but they're just presenting what they want.
Yeah.
The fun
And
stuff.
what they really need and maybe some of what they want.
So you would almost think a simpler budget from wherever that might be. Why couldn't you do that in 5-10 minutes? Say, these are my 5 big items. That's it.
And anything that changed over a given percentage.
We used to do that.
It doesn't need to
George
be
Stokes
a half an
kids.
hour.
I don't
And you
wanna
still
do
see
that.
their face. And it can actually be easier for them. One, they're not here as long, and they're just giving you the nitty-gritty highlights and without all the other detailed stuff. So if you set the expectation, sure, come on in. Instead of doing 2 a night, we're gonna pack 4 a night. And your time slot is being reduced because we don't need that much detail. But we'll
We
still have the
want
reports.
it, but we don't need you to give that to, we want it on paper, but not.
Well, I'll go back to prior ways it was done. We never saw any of the elementary principals at all. It was just presented by the business manager, who I appreciate her expertise with the business management side, but she probably doesn't understand a reading program. And so therefore, if we had a question, if anyone dared ask a question about, what's that reading program? The poor business manager would either slam their
trip over
fist
the-
down on the table and say, there are no questions to be asked, or have to go back. I don't want to put us in that position. I want the educators to have a chance, and I don't care if I always say, thanks so much for coming in. I would like to start earlier. I'm sorry, why can't we start earlier? I'm.
Earlier in the evening?
earlier in the schedule. The first meeting we're gonna be is on the 28th. Why? I don't,
Because,
Well, it's
because
putting Maria,
that's when
this
we
department under
have
the gun.
all the, how many students we have, how
so
many.
you don't know by the
it's
14th
how many
of December,
employees.
let's say by September 14th, you won't have that by then?
That's the first week, the second week of school.
So you-
I will. I don't know if the principals are ready to present a budget when the kids are just got here. I can.
So that's why we put the tours there, and then we give everybody kind of a breather, but we're starting those budgets that aren't necessarily affected by, that.
And if you have new.
That
if any
week's
school
pretty-
Has new teachers, those teachers don't start until the first week of September or the last week of, in August. So if
That's
the
why we give the
principal
elementary-
will meet with his faculty
Right.
to develop the budgets,
I mean, we could
Much
put,
time do
they
you
need at
we can
least
put
a
a few
week,
more
a
into
month.
the elementary presentations. That's, what, 5 buildings to hear from the elementary level,
Yeah, maybe put student services in with elementary.
or put curriculum and professional learning over there.
One thing this year, like I said, is we can have the transportation. We have 5 of our unions. We know what the increase is gonna be for 5 of our unions. We have, so just between those two is a big chunk. We have food service as well. So food service, transportation, and 5 unions that I can give you
Numbers.
right now because I do have them. So that will only leave the schools, which again, our initiative here internally, and I have talked about this with the superintendent as well, is to encourage people to plan ahead. Look, what are your initiatives this year? What is your school, what is it that you need? Where are you going with your initiatives? How much money you need to fund those initiatives? And then whatever is left, give it back to the community because we will reallocate it somewhere else where it's needed, utilities, anything that is needed. Or if you really have an initiative that is requiring an increase of $15,000 for tables or whatever the case is, then let us know because we need to evaluate the situation. But I don't foresee those to be, again, to the point, huge swings, right?
Right.
I'm not expecting to add $500,000 in the high school because, I mean, the high school, if we have the same number of students, pretty much should stay the same, right? Budget shouldn't increase unless you have a huge swing in number of students.
Right. Well, we've always used, the last few years, we've used that November 21st meeting, which is the day before Thanksgiving or whatever. We've always had that. Then the next one isn't till 2 weeks later into December. And we've often, I mean, that's usually when we're making our decision. On December 14th. There's not a lot of wiggle room. We gotta know better on the 21st of November what that bottom line is gonna look like, including some of the stuff from the school board, which they might not know because they've still got warrant articles that is their job to write and they're, what they're gonna do for capital improvement. They had a few on there that I was even surprised at seeing this year that we didn't even know about. We didn't know about until I went to the public hearing or listened to the public hearing. So,
Plus, by December 14th, everybody will have gotten their tax bill.
so we need to know by the 21st of November what all those presentations impact to the bottom line of the operating budget. And we didn't know that last year. We didn't.
Yeah, it
We
was,
were a week. Gives you another week to
it helps
say,
us digest.
yeah, we didn't know that bottom line, and then we came in that last night. So, how are we gonna leave it? We talked around
This meeting
this.
schedule looks beautiful.
Why don't we leave it like
There's no-
this? Let Maria and team condense all those presentations into fewer nights to give us more room on the end to deliberate and learn what the final budget might look like.
I don't know how she's gonna condense anymore unless she adds more into the 12th of October.
Well, this year I'm sending the principals
But
for the summer
instead of
with
us
their budgets.
trying
So
to
hopefully-
micromanage it, why don't we just say to Maria and team, can you squeeze everybody into these nights? Whatever order you can make it work, go do it.
Do Monday, Thursday.
3 nights or 2 nights? 3 nights. It's,
Three
right now
nights.
it's 3 nights, right?
It's 4 nights now.
4 nights.
Then
Where, oh, yeah.
condense into.
See, I never, oh, yeah.
The other thing is, I don't know if you guys are open to add, to do like 2 meetings. Lisa just had the idea, 2 meetings a week. So if we do Tuesday and Thursday.
I sit on Plastows Budget Committee, so
And you
that
meet
would not work.
Tuesdays.
But a
And we meet
okay,
Tuesday.
Monday, Thursday. So in other words, on these weeks, then we could, on the week of the 28th, do that Monday and that Thursday, double up meetings. And then the following week, double up on meetings
So it's
as a
2 weeks
potential.
of
It's 2 weeks of
intense.
additional, of an additional meeting and Jesus, I'm
Yes.
sorry, one additional night for those 2 weeks that will probably free up one more meeting that you guys have for your own too.
So let's say we met on the 28th and on the, is that the 2nd?
If you met on the 28th, do like the 25th and the 28th.
Oh, the 25th and the 28th,
What month are you in?
September.
September.
So like do the 25th and the 28th.
Yep.
Then the 12th, so it would be the 9th and the 12th.
Is that
Is
Oh,
that-
but that's Columbus Day.
Columbus
but-
weekend?
Or do the 12th and the 16th.
That's school board
You
meeting.
could do
Oh,
that.
school board meeting week. Well, actually,
Well,
no,
it doesn't
it's
matter. They
not.
don't meet on
No,
Monday.
no.
No, they,
I think school board is
No,
on the
but
5th.
it's the week.
It's the
During
Thursday
that
night.
time of the year, I have a school board meeting,
I
budget
think
committee
that's-
meeting, school board meeting, budget committee meeting.
That's right.
So it's, I'm okay adding one to that same week that we have budget committee, but the school board meeting week,
So I'll go back to the alternative. Can you just get rid of one weekend? Can we add more to the existing Thursday nights that are already on the paper? Does that not look doable?
add more
More
presentations.
presentations.
I'm just gonna make this up, alrighty? If you took anything on November 9th and spread it between September 28th, October 12th, and October 26th, could you do that, or is
Would
that
they be
just?
ready early enough?
We
facilities,
can try.
yeah, move facilities to the 26th.
And
Give
so
them some
instead of-
time.
The issue.
I guess here's my thought. So I have no idea what the schedules of these administrators are. And I don't plan to
I don't
know their
think they
budgets,
know
but
either.
if we just said, look, can you guys just go ask them if you can move everything from the 9th and make it fit on the other 3 nights, and just get back to us.
What if you took,
Yeah, I mean.
Lisa, I hear what you're saying. What if you took the September 28th and and September 14th, those 2 September meetings, right?
September 14th is a
I mean,
tour.
the 28th and the October 12th, those 2 meetings, and you made those the 25th and the 28th, right? So then you're skipping, our normal meeting would be October 12th. Make October 26th the 12th.
I think we're all confused.
You're with me or you're with her? Okay.
I'm trying to add a meeting
All my errors.
to not,
So tired. I have no
Perhaps
idea.
tentatively, we keep September 28th, we add on the Monday, keep
Yep.
October 12th, we add on the Monday, and if we don't need it, we don't use it.
add on a Monday where?
October 9th?
23rd? No, that's,
Columbus Day.
Okay.
Columbus Day.
Okay, so
you gotta add
16th
the
then.
16th, which is school board week, right?
Yes.
That's what we're
Mark doesn't
just
think so. He
saying.
thought it was the 5th.
October 16th?
It would be the
That's a Monday.
5th and the 19th.
And that's the dilemma.
Or you could do the 23rd and 26th
That's
of
what I was,
October.
23rd and 26th.
So basically, it's adding 2 meetings and separate that meeting on the 9th, even if that's that way, shuffle them around so you're adding 2 meetings. The meeting of the 9th would be, move them into different buckets or shuffle into the other 2 spots.
So it would open up, we'd like to open up the 9th as a discussion
So
night.
then you will have the 9th, the 21st.
First and the 14th. That would give us one more night for any questions, something you need answered, we didn't get answered. That would give us 3 nights of deliberation instead of only technically 2 nights. But that would mean we'd have to commit, and so would our business office and our secretary and our video guy, to come an extra night that week for 2 meetings to make it work. Do you want us to, instead of us sitting here, because people have to get up in the morning and work, how about if we see what we can work for a calendar, and I'll have Kerry send it out, and see what you think,
I think that's a great idea.
okay? Because we've got a little bit of time that we can, we're trying to give us another night of discussion. Is that the bottom line?
Yes.
So we'd agreed we'd still hear presentations, maybe compact them a little bit, hopefully, right?
I'd like to
Change
remove the
the-
word maybe.
Change the format of the presentation.
Compact the presentations a little bit, we still want to see everybody, yes?
We want bullet points.
Huh?
We want the bullet
Give
points.
us the big picture.
tickets, yeah.
Big tickets, big picture. Thank you very much for your work. And add a night of deliberation for us and a running count, if we can,
Yep.
where we're at. We're starting at 60 million, and we've got this much to play with.
Yep.
How can we make that work? What can we squish up here to make that bottom line a little bit lower in the final end? Am I somehow summarizing that?
Can you add in that Mark also is going to make a thermometer and he's going to paint?
Oh my God, I was thinking that.
It's behind Sue.
I'm sure
just
we
had
have
that
one.
thought. I was
Yeah, and I can
looking like
raise it,
he
yeah,
read
I can
mine.
color it in with my marker. Jules.
Excuse me. Maria, I'm wondering, since a lot of these budgets fall on your participation as well, is something like this really feasible? Because I know, if you're going through and vetting everything before they're even presented, are you going to have time to meet with realistically, all of these departments that early on to have it ready with everything?
That's my biggest hesitation, because each of these people meet with me and the superintendent before they meet with,
Right.
before they present to you guys. As you know, the superintendent's calendar and my calendar are challenging, to say
A
the
tad
least.
full already.
Again, administrators, teachers are not back until the last week in August. So this is leaving 1 month with new kids, new classrooms, new faculty, whoever is new principals, because we're gonna have 2 new principals this year. A month, the first month of school, to have a full budget developed.
I
We
just would
can
like
try.
to add another night of deliberation.
Oh, no, I know.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
So maybe we can add it at the final end.
I was
If
just gonna say
somebody's
that.
willing to come a Monday, Thursday that week.
Yeah.
So let's play with it, because,
That will
We could be
be
here all night.
probably better. I know it's the month of
it's at the
December.
end instead of at the beginning.
Well, I'll just be crazy anyways, but that's okay. I think we just need to be respectful of what Maria is saying.
Yeah.
That we have all of the teams coming back in August. You have 2 new administrators starting, who may or may not be an internal candidate. So you don't know if they're understanding of what our process is.
Right.
And ADM, you won't know until October 1st.
Right.
Did I sum that up correctly?
Look at you.
Thank you.
You know a lot.
I do, I do.
You do, yes.
Right, let me play with a little bit too and present some ideas to the girls and see what we can come up with that makes it, still gives us everything we want, doesn't put any more, we need her to stay healthy and stay with us, because she had some, you weren't here all the time. I need you healthy. And, get our work done. And have that deliberation moment that we feel a little calmer about.
Having it, yeah. Perhaps it's adding the Mondays at the end,
Yeah, I was thinking, yeah, I think
the week of December 14,
yeah, that Monday.
that Monday, so that way we can add it.
We
We
add-
can have 2 meetings that week.
Yeah.
If something you decide to change or to
Then we have
want to
another-
look on Monday, then on
gives you some
Thursday I
time.
can get it prepared and.
That's where I'm suggesting it, right
And if
there.
I have your permission to change the format of the presentations, I can definitely make that change and have one format for bullet points, total increase
Yep.
or total decrease. Give me your 5 high-level bullet points and have a conversation, which again is I think is the useful part of them telling you the story of their school and what they're trying to accomplish. But just one piece of paper. We're gonna have it right here and 5 bullet points.
Assuming we can get a more detailed one beforehand to review, should we?
Oh, you will still have the budget report, which
Yeah.
I will give you of what they have and how it's changing.
Perfect.
I will have the 24 voted budget and the 25 projected what they're trying to propose for you guys, but then they just tell you the high level. That
Okay, I
can-
think we've beat this horse enough.
Okay.
All right, we'll be back in touch with that. Anything else to come before us?
I don't.
No,
think
ma'am.
so.
No, okay. If not, our next meeting would be September.
Wednesday, September 6th, unless you need another meeting in
Right.
between. You tell me.
Don't think we do we? It'd be the first, it's the tour of the large campus here.
Last year, the tours started at 5 o'clock. I mean, I know it's a little soon to be talking about a time, but I feel like more people would show up if it was a little bit later. People could get
Why
home
did we
from
do it at
work.
5?
Daylight.
Daylight.
Yeah, I mean, daylight is good, but people are still in work and commuting.
Most of it's
Um,
internal, yeah, that's true.
And so I feel like if you really want people from the public to show up, you gotta make it at a time that people can get there.
Okay, let's work on a time that by 6 o'clock, it's getting dark.
It does.
They usually
It's a long
take
time.
good couple hours, right?
And I know Carl
Hour and
lives
a half,
far
too,
away, and he has some commute time.
Still, if we could get more people there, then maybe that
We
is
can
something
make
to
it
look
at
at.
6.
Move it to 6.
Yeah. Additionally, would it be
Work on-
possible to have this office contacts and
Maybe
an
do the
email
outside
out
first.
to all the selectmen beforehand so that they will read it off under their, correspondence? This is when the tours are, feel free to go. These are our tax dollars, just to get it out there. I mean, I know we did that
We
last
can
year and
send-
I
We did do
hand-delivered
that.
stuff.
We can send it to all the towns. I can ask our superintendent to voice messages, which seem to be very useful.
Yeah.
Somehow people listen to phone calls more than email or anything else.
Right, right.
So many of them come through, like, my husband will get one, and then I'll get one like 2 minutes later, so it's like everyone's getting hit in the whole household. There's no way to miss it, honestly.
It seems to help, actually. It has been pretty effective, so.
All right, we'll work
but-
We
with
can try
getting
that
some
too.
more advertising on that.
So
Yeah.
why don't you
So-
offer a $100 gift card to anybody who
Right,
shows up?
that's an idea. Or a charcuterie board.
Oh, really?
We can have a charcuterie
And what
wrap.
if, and what if the 7,000 parents of the school district show up?
Your tax rates are going up, folks. So the voicemails will work for those who have kids in the district, but for the majority of the other citizens who may want to hear, that's why I was suggesting the selectmen.
Yeah, we should probably implement,
We'll
like
figure
they
something
have at the town hall, that you can subscribe to the newsletter.
Yeah.
we should
We
have
do.
the school
Plasto does.
district, you can subscribe to the school district even though you don't have kids, if you wanna be part of our mailing
We'll get it on
list.
Facebook too.
Have it all set up
Yeah,
and ready to go.
yeah.
And again, we did it
So you
last
know.
year. It was not as effective as any of us wanted, but it's our job to keep on trying to get the word out.
Yeah, maybe we can start, I know Dean last year helped us put it in social media, he put it on Facebook, he put it in all the social media, so maybe we can just start now and just It's coming up, coming up,
Each school
coming
put it
up.
out on their Facebook page,
Yep.
because I'm on numbers of those, and I kept getting it. That was,
And the PTAs all shared it.
yeah.
Yeah, we can
We
probably
try.
work out with technology and do.
Okay,
Awesome.
hearing no other business, I'm gonna adjourn at 9:08. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night. Good night, Timberlane. We're done, Dean, thank you.